Hey, what's up guys, my name is Hansol, and in today's video I'll be going over all my Fire Mage PvP macros. So I made one of these macro videos about a year ago, back in Cataclysm, but that one is kinda outdated now. Don't get me wrong, because I still use all the macros I used to use back then, but I kinda added a couple more to the batch and took out a few as well. So yeah, let's get started. So what you're gonna do is open up your macro menu, /M on the chat bar is what I like to do. And there are two macro tabs. I'm going to go to my Hansol specific macros or Mage specific macros. So the first macros I want to go over are the stop casting ones. So what I mean by stop casting is, for example, if you are casting Scorch, and you know, I'm sure most of you guys know Scorch, you can cast it while on the run. And say for instance you want to counterspell, but you're halfway through a Scorch cast and you can't stop casting it, even though you want to cast counterspell. Just because, you know, most casts you can stop casting by just moving, but since Scorch is on the move cast, you need a stop casting macro for a lot of your important spells. So for instance, spells such as counterspell, Dragon's Breath, Cone of Cold, Frost Nova, Ice Block, Cold Snap, Blink, Combustion. It's very good to have these just because it lets your character and yourself have faster reactions and react appropriately to each situation. So let's go ahead and to make this macro is very simple. I'll put B right there for blink, show tooltip, and then stop casting /stop casting, which obviously makes you stop casting, and then /cast blink. And what we're going to do is save that macro, and you can drag it to wherever you want. This is where I put my blink, it's on B, that's my macro. Anyways, let's try it out. Obviously it blinks normally, of course, and what it's going to do is also stop casting and blink at the same time. If you're a Fire Mage, it's a very good idea to add this to all the spells I mentioned earlier. Alright, so the next macro I want to be going over are the Dispel macros. This is the Dispel Curse macros. If you're an arena player like myself, you're going to want these macros, you would not want, you're going to actually need these macros to achieve 2200 in arenas minimum. So what this does is, you know how, for example, say your healer gets hexed, and you know how hex is a curse and mages can dispel curses. So for instance, they get hexed and you want to dispel them, but instead of having to target them every time you want to dispel a hex, what this macro does is it targets them for you, but it doesn't actually target them, but without even targeting them you can remove their curse. So what you're gonna want to do is show tooltip, remove curse, then /cast, and in brackets target equals and then the partner's name, another bracket, remove curse. So make sure you have two of these macros if you're doing 3v3, one for your healer, one for the other DPS. That way you can instantly dispel them in a matter of seconds, or not even, maybe like 0.5 seconds if your reactions are fast. You can also add a stop casting macro to these as well, but I personally don't feel like I need them. Next up is the Ice Block macro. I showed this in my previous video, but I'm just going over it again just because maybe some of you guys haven't seen that video. So of course, once again, stop casting, and then /cancelaura Ice Block. So what this does is when you press it once, it'll Ice Block, and if you press it again, it will take you out of the Ice Block. But for people that, for instance, that spam this macro, all it will do is bring you into Ice Block and take you out of Ice Block right away. So a good idea is to take off the cancelaura Ice Block and bind it to a different spell such as Ice Lance. So that way if you Ice Block, even if you spam it, it won't take you out of it. And once you're in the block and you want to come out, you can just press Ice Lance. That's an alternative way, but I've really gotten accustomed to just not spamming this. I have this binded to shift scroll up. I know that may be weird to a lot of you, but it's very comfortable for me, and it works for me, so that's what I do. And then right under /cancelaura, I put a /use Healthstone. Just for example, in RBGs, you have a warlock in your group and you're about to die, you will block and heal yourself at the same time. In most cases, actually, this isn't very effective because when you block, your healer heals you. So if you want, you can make two different macros for this, or not even use this Healthstone part. And then at the end, you want to put cast Ice Block. You want to make sure that this is in chronological order, that way it doesn't fuck up. It does tend to glitch if you don't have it in this certain order. Next up is the Fire Mage one-shot macro. So I have more information. I have an actual whole separate video on this explaining what this macro does and showing a demonstration of how this macro works. So if you want to see that video, you can click down below, but I will simply briefly explain this in this video real quick. What this macro does is once you get a hot streak proc, what this does is it alter times Pyroblasts, alter times again, and then you can manually pump the last 2 Pyroblasts yourself. If you're quick enough to return to your original position before the first hot streak lands, you will get another heating up proc, which means if you throw the second hot streak in, the heating up will turn to another hot streak if that second hot streak crits, or pyro crits in the deep. I know this may not make a lot of sense for most of you, so I suggest you click that video down below like I said earlier, because it explains in much more detail. So check that out. Alright, for this next macro, what this does is it pretty much lets your party members know that you're bursting whenever you combust the target. So let me show you what it would look like. So first of all, I'm going to get my hot streak proc, I'm going to deep freeze them, throw my pyro and combust, and it would say bursting on whatever target you're targeting. This works for anything actually, and let me show you what it looks like. So all you have to do, once again, is show tooltip, stop casting / cast combustion, and then /p bursting on shift 5T. So I don't know what that number is called. I think it's like the numeric sign. I don't know exactly, but it has to be that numeric sign T and with an exclamation mark. So whatever you're targeting, it will say that you're bursting. So for example, I'm not going to actually burst, but I'm going to use this macro on this guy. His name is Fury Time, and it would say bursting on Fury Time, and then Quick Z bursting on Quick Z. As you can see, this works for anyone and anything. It's very handy when you're in a party but you guys aren't in a voice chat communication such as Skype, but you want to let your party members know that you're bursting on a certain player. And yeah, and once again, this has been the basic macro guide for fire mages. I will create a advanced macro guide pretty soon, so if this video was able to help you out whatsoever, make sure to thumbs up down below to let me know it helped. That way, if it gets enough likes, I will definitely make the advanced macro. Only if it helped like a few people though, because if it didn't help nobody, then there's really no point to make the advanced guide. And if you want to be updated for the advanced guide, make sure to subscribe to my channel up below, and I will make sure to catch you in my next video. See you guys. Keep burning shit.